Hey, everybody. Do you remember Canaan? Uh huh. Ho, 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 ho. Wave your flag. Yeah, right. A lot of you like that song a lot. I also love that song. But guess what? What I didn't realize is that Canaan also is an author. I know he was a poet and a songwriter, but I didn't know that he wrote books too. He wrote a book about himself, about his story, and the story behind the making of this song, which was a world famous song. People still really love it. It's called When I Get Older, the story behind Waving Flag by K'Naan. Illustrations by Rudy Gutierrez. And I just thought it would be really cool to learn a little bit more about him as a person. Like, what's his story? I don't really know. I'd like to learn more about him. And it goes, my name is K'Naan. Until I was 13 years old, I lived in a city called Mogadishu, a city that was like a sparkling jewel. Mogadishu is in Somalia. It sits on the Horn of Africa. The entire Indian Ocean was my backyard. Boats came and went all day long, bobbing on the blue sky waters. Oh, are those amazing illustrations? Yeah, I'll move my hand. Thanks. What a beautiful place to grow up, right? I lived with my mother, my brother and sister, and my grandfather in a bright white stone house in the center of the busy city. My grandfather was a poet. Ah, that makes sense, right? Was one of the most famous poets in all of Somalia. Whenever I didn't feel well, he would recite his poems to me as we watched the sunset. His poems were like medicine. They told the best stories I ever heard. Poems can tell stories. Well, we didn't have a lot of money, so we often made our own toys. We made skateboards out of old wheels and pieces of wood. That's smart. One day, my friends and I rode our skateboards while holding onto a truck we were afraid to let go. Oh boy, I don't know about that. And the truck took us far away. We got in big trouble. But my mother, she never stayed mad for too long. Oh boy. I think you'd get in trouble too. I'd get in big trouble if I did something like that, no doubt. But one morning, I woke up to a scary sound like angry bees coming from the street outside my window. There was gunfire everywhere. Was this war? Is this what war sounded like? We couldn't play outside anymore. It was too dangerous. Everybody was frightened. So my grandfather, he wrote me a poem to make me feel better, and we read it together, and it said, when I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag. Yeah, so that's where it comes from. That line comes from his grandfather. It makes sense now, right? Now, my mother wanted us to leave Somalia and move somewhere safer. Every day she walked to the buildings to try to get us the paperwork that we needed that would allow us to leave and to go somewhere else. I was frightened when she went out into the street, but my mother, despite all the dangers, she was very, very brave. One day, my mother came rushing home with the special papers that would take us across the ocean to America, to the United States. I was happy that we'd be safe, but I was also afraid. My friends, they couldn't come with us, and neither could my grandfather, who I loved so much. Poems will be your courage, my grandfather told me. Just remember the poem that I taught you. When I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag. Now, our new home in New York City. Oh, they made it to New York City. Hey, yes. Your home. Our new home was New York City. The buildings were as tall as 10,000 men. And the cold winters bit me on the back of my neck. We lived with my uncle in Harlem. I couldn't understand anyone because I didn't speak the language. I couldn't, the clothes I wore were all wrong. I was embarrassed and confused, and I missed Mogadishu, my home. At night I thought about my grandfather and whispered to myself his poem, "When I get older," and maybe you can say it with me, "When I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me just like a..." Yeah, you got it. Now, when you come to a new country, you need a lot of paperwork. And we didn't have the right ones to stay in the United States, to stay in New York. So after just 6 months, we had to leave. They made us leave. And this time, we went to a place further north, in another country called Canada, in a city called Toronto. Canada gave us new papers. They invited us in. And we had a new name for ourselves. They called us refugees. I didn't know what that meant. My mother said it was a name for people who had to leave a country because it wasn't safe anymore. Canada was calm, and it felt safe to me. On the first day of winter, it snowed. I'd never seen snow before. I wore my sandals to school because I liked how the snow felt on my feet, but everybody laughed at me. The teacher told me I should wear boots. Was that very nice? Were they very welcoming to him? That wasn't very welcoming, no. It was hard to learn a new language, but by the time the snow melted, my English was starting to get better. Now, a boy called me a mean name at school. He said Africa was dirty and ugly. Can you believe that? Can you believe somebody would say that? I cannot believe that somebody would say something so horrible. Unbelievable. Now, I got really mad, and I punched him. Then my mother had to come to school and talk to the teacher. And then Mom told me something. My mom said, you're right to be mad, but you need to talk about your feelings instead of fighting. Fighting isn't the best way. I know this isn't easy to do always, but talking is always better than fighting. But singing is even better. Now, there were other kids at school who had to leave a home far away and who struggled to learn a new language. We all looked different, but we all liked to play, and we loved music class, where we got to sing, and songs, they're kind of like poetry. I told my new friends about my grandfather and the poem he wrote for me. They told me I was a good singer. Singing made me feel as though anything were possible, that I could do anything. When I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag. At the end of the year, the teacher announced that we had to sing a song in front of the entire school. I asked my friends from different countries and my friends from Canada if they wanted to sing my grandfather's poem with me. I wasn't afraid anymore. Grandfather was right. Music made me feel safe. And that is the end. And you know what's really cool is that it has the music and the lyrics, but there's a whole different set of lyrics that I haven't taught you because I can't do them. I was never able to do it very well because it's kind of done in spoken word. It's done in a spoken word rap style, which is not something I'm very good at. But if you go back to the slides, I have one of the slides has him singing the whole song, not just the part that we sing, where he does the spoken word and everything else, and it is really good. He's so super talented. So yeah, that's the story of Waving Flag. All right, hope you liked it. See you later. Happy summer reading.